Welcome to the Unreal Gamer channel. I'm Violet, your host. Today, we're tackling a big question that's been bugging me, and I know it's been bugging a lot of you too. What happened to Resident Evil? Remember when it was all about viruses, zombies, and the nightmare of science gone wrong? Well, fast forward to Resident Evil 7 and 8, and it feels like we've stumbled into an alternate universe. One filled with fairy tale villains and characters who feel like they're on loan from other franchises. So grab a snack, buckle in, and let's dissect how Resident Evil went from sci-fi horror to, well, mutant fairy tales.
No way!
Let's go back to where it all began.
This is Chopper Delta, preparing to drop off at area E95070.
The golden age of Resident Evil, when the franchise was firmly rooted in sci-fi horror. This wasn't just a zombie story for the sake of scares. No, it was about bioweapons, lab experiments gone horribly wrong, and the terrifying consequences of human arrogance. Umbrella Corporation was the ultimate villain, a shadowy pharmaceutical company messing with viruses in the name of profit. And when the T-virus escaped, it turned ordinary people into the undead. Here's the thing, these weren't magical zombies. They were regular humans infected with a virus that reanimated dead cells. It felt terrifyingly grounded, like something that could actually happen if the wrong person started messing with bioweapons. The T-virus and G-virus gave us iconic creatures like the Tyrant, Nemesis, and good old Mr. X. Even with its campy dialogue and B-movie vibe, the world of Resident Evil was cohesive, gripping, and believable. Well, as believable as giant spiders can be. It made sense in a twisted, scientific way. Even the monsters like Nemesis were built on this foundation of pseudo-realism. Nemesis wasn't just a beast, he was a human experiment, infected with the T-virus and implanted with the NEA parasite to enhance his intelligence and combat abilities. He was a lab-grown nightmare with clear rules. And that's what made the early Resident Evil games so iconic. The lore had a kind of terrifying logic to it. The zombies, the tyrants, even Nemesis, they all followed the rules of this messed up world. The fear came from imagining, what if this actually happened? Sure, it wasn't 100% scientifically accurate. Nobody's handing out Nobel Prizes to Resident Evil, but it was grounded enough to immerse you in the horror. Let's talk about Mr. X for a moment, another product of the T-virus. A hulking, trench coat-wearing bioweapon who moved at an agonizingly slow pace, but always seemed to catch up with you. He didn't need flashy powers or supernatural gimmicks. His terror came from his relentless pursuit. You couldn't kill him. You couldn't escape him. He was a perfectly designed weapon, and Umbrella's fingerprints were all over him.
Shit. Coming. What? What's coming? Come on, don't be an asshole. Okay, you need this. Just get me the fuck out of here.
Now compare that to what we see in the remakes. Nemesis isn't stalking anymore. He's swinging from buildings like Spider-Man. He's flying through the air, teleporting like Nightcrawler from X-Men, and growing 1,000 times his size without so much as a snack break. Where's all that extra mass coming from? Is he secretly feasting on zombies off-screen? Is there a buffet line we're not seeing? It's like Capcom forgot the basic laws of physics and just said, the virus did it. And look, we get it. It's a video game. It doesn't have to be perfectly realistic. But there's a difference between bending the rules and completely throwing them out the window. The original Resident Evil games built a world with a clear set of rules, and that's what made them immersive. You could believe in the horror because the horror made sense. Now, the rules are gone, and so is the immersion. It's not just Nemesis. The new characters and enemies feel completely disconnected from the original lore. They're not part of the same world. They're from some alternate universe where anything goes.
That's a good idea, Jack. You remember the last hurricane? We thought we were lucky, and the next time it rained, there was a mess for sure.
Hello, sister.
And don't get me wrong, I love superhero movies, but I don't want Resident Evil to feel like it's borrowing plot points from Marvel, DC, or even The Last of Us. It's like Capcom just slapped the Resident Evil brand on whatever idea they thought would sell and called it a day. The franchise is losing its identity. The games, the movies, even the Netflix series, it all feels like a cash grab. Resident Evil used to be a tightly woven sci-fi horror saga with a clear sense of purpose. Now, it's a hodgepodge of half-baked ideas thrown together with no respect for the original lore. And it hurts, because we know how great this series can be. We've seen it before. The original Resident Evil games were grounded, terrifying, and cohesive. They respected the world they built, and that's why we loved them. But now, it feels like the franchise is losing its way. But that's just the start of the story. Things really went off the rails when Resident Evil 7 introduced mold, mind control, and fairy tales. Let's talk about that.
Are you remembering?
What? What are you?
Capcom decided to take a sharp left turn off the zombie apocalypse highway. Forget Raccoon City, Umbrella, and bioweapons. Instead, we got fungus. Yes! Fungus. The Baker family was cool and creepy, don't get me wrong, but the whole mold concept felt like it came from a different playbook. And Eveline? A little girl with mind control powers? That's not horror. It's practically an audition tape for Stranger Things. It's like Capcom decided to dip their toes into a folk horror vibe but didn't fully commit to keeping it Resident Evil. And then we got Resident Evil Village, where things really went off the rails. First up, we've got Lady Dimitrescu, a 9-foot-tall vampire lady with Wolverine claws.
On my daughters, and now you even try to steal my property. How dare you?
Cool, right? Sure, until she morphs into a dragon. Like, are we still in Resident Evil, or did we just wander into Shrek 4 the Horror Edition? And then there's Heisenberg, our knockoff Magneto who throws metal at you like he's auditioning for the next X-Men movie.
Mother Miranda's gonna love you.
Let's not forget Moreau, who's basically bootleg Aquaman with a mommy complex, and Donna Beneviento, the creepy doll lady who turns into a pile of flies. This lineup feels less like Resident Evil and more like Capcom's weird crossover event where they cherry-picked villains from other franchises. The real issue here isn't just the ridiculousness of the villains. It's the loss of grounded horror. Resident Evil used to be about the terror of science gone wrong, about the fragility of humanity in the face of corporate greed. Now, it's like Capcom is trying to cram in as many outlandish boss fights as possible, even if it means sacrificing the series' identity. Where's the tension? Where's the creeping dread of walking into a lab and realizing you're way over your head? These new entries feel more like a theme park ride than a survival horror experience.
This will be my home before I kill you. Listen, man.
Honestly, it's starting to feel like Resident Evil exists in two completely different universes. In one, we have the classic games with their gritty sci-fi horror roots. In the other, we have over-the-top fairy tale characters and bosses that feel like they were borrowed from Disney or Marvel. Can Capcom bring these two worlds back together? Or are we doomed to see more dragons, magnetos, and creepy dolls in future games? At this point, nothing surprises me anymore. So, what do you think? Is Resident Evil losing its way? Or do you think these fairy tale villains are a refreshing change? Personally, I miss the grounded horror, the days when even a single zombie could scare the pants off you.
Yet determined to find the berries, the rascal broke free from Mother's grasp and vanished into the trees. Mother's worried cries faded fast as the girl ran on, over vine and under branch, and into the forest deep.
But,
Strange
hey,
eyes upon
I'll
her,
admit it,
the girl
Lady
recalled
D and her
Mother's
dragon
secret
antics were
campaigns,
entertaining in their
throat
own way.
aching, bone dry.
Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. And if you enjoyed this little rant, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the wild world of Resident Evil.
So she drank the thick,
Oh,
dark blood.
and don't forget to check out our other videos, like the one where we ask if Capcom is killing Leon, or our breakdown of Jill Valentine's future in the series. Until next time, stay awesome, keep gaming, and remember, in Resident Evil, anything is possible, even dragons. See you in the next one.